And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Warburg Confusion Entertainment Review. It's time for episode number 43, where we're going to be talking about Stranger Things Season 4, Part 1, which just debuted on Netflix this past weekend over the Memorial Day 3-day holiday. Actually, it was the Friday before, but that's when I consumed it all. It was mostly on Memorial Day.
Yep.
I'm your host, Thomas, aka Mr. Warburg. Alongside me, as always, here for this back-to-back recorded episode is Patrick, aka Mr. Fusion.
We're talking one of my favorite shows, man. Stranger Things. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's do
this
it.
is without a doubt the most fusion ass show I have
Yep.
watched in quite some time.
What, 6 years ago that the first season came out?
I mean, yeah,
And
and that blew me away.
yeah, my wife had watched it the weekend it came out, and she watched it and said, "You've got to watch this show." Why? Because this is the type of geek stuff that you love, as well as it's 80s. It's pure 80s. Man, I remember a couple days later on Sunday, I sat down at I don't remember, late at night, in the after, late early in the evening, sat down to watched it all the way till 4 in the morning, and then got up an hour later to go to work on Monday morning because I sat down. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a try. First episode, I'm like, holy crap. Next episode, holy crap! Like just the music was great. The setting was great. Dungeons and Dragons talking about the Demogorgon. And as the nerd as I am, I did point out that there is an error. I don't know if you know this, but the Demogorgon didn't come out until 1984 in the next chapter of Dungeons and Dragons, the expansion. So the movie is set in 1983, but the Demogorgon didn't come out till a year later. So that was kind of an error that they have there. But people overlook that. We talked about that when we were talking about, last episode about, just a few things that get retconned here and there, like in Obi-Wan. If you're a fan, you just gotta have to move because stories change a little bit and they evolve. So yeah, but this is a great show, man. Love it. I love it. Season one, phenomenal. Season two was good, but it took a step back. Season three, I thought they nailed it out of the park. A lot of people didn't like it. I loved it. First part of season four, holy shit, they went balls to the wall with this thing. I mean, run times alone, it was like we're getting 2.5 seasons out of this
It's
this
a lot.
season. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, we have the first 7 episodes, and then the final part is 2 episodes that are 4.5 hours long. You
It's a
know,
lot.
it's a lot. Episode eight's 2 hours. Episode nine is 2.5 hours. Like every episode was damn near a movie. Every single episode this season, and it was great, man. Love it,
Hmm.
love it. But I want to get your thoughts on it, man, because like I'm a big Stranger Things honk, but I know you're a fan. But I want to get your thoughts. Like, just put it all out there
Good,
because
because I
you were
typed up
like,
a
"Holy
one
shit!"
sentence thought on this season.
Okay, go for it.
And after we do that, I'm going to hit my timer. Okay?
Do
And
it.
what I'm going to do is turn on 30 minutes. And in 30 minutes or less, we're going to give our thoughts on Stranger Things Season 4, Part 1.
Let's do it.
So, my one sentence takeaway: a season that moves just fast enough to avoid crumbling under its own weight, with some truly standout moments that rank among the series' best.
Ah,
I think that sounds like something you would expect to read in an actual review.
yeah, that was a Village Voice line, I believe, in one movie once. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that really does hold true to what this season is. When I
Okay.
say avoid crumbling under its own weight, I
Okay.
mean the runtimes you feel it a little bit.
Yep.
There was more than a couple scenes. I was just like, okay, no, give me the next 10 seconds. Give me the next 10 seconds. Like I was skipping through some stuff.
Sure.
Not like a ton, but like skipping a minute here, a minute there. And that's just pacing and your own perspective on where you want things to go. Some people, like yourself, really dug it. And I did too. It's just every now and then I'm like, that could have been tightened up. That could move a little quicker. Why are we sitting on this? I want to get to this. But they got a lot of irons in the fire. I totally understand, needing to give each part its due.
Yep.
There is no B plot. It's all the plot. So I appreciate that kind of storytelling. It just, for me, it's just, oh my God, it was so much to watch. And it probably didn't help. I was actually pretty sick. You can kind of hear it in my voice maybe now. I was quite congested and very medicated. So I was very tired. So maybe that impacted my view. But I think overall, that my one sentence takeaway there, I think pretty much hit the nail on the head for me on what I think of this first part of season 4.
For me, I will say this: episode 4 of this season is probably the best of the entire series.
I agree.
That was
That's
just a
right up there
phenomenal
with the kids running
chapter.
away from the vans
Yeah,
moments.
yeah. Just that scene with her fighting with
Yes.
the villain. Yeah. Um, that's really it. Like I get it. The run times are long. There are times where it could be tightened up. For me, I understand the Duffer Brothers have a method to their madness, and there's going to be a payoff for all of it. You're those little moments that you feel like, yeah, it's a little too much of this, it's a little too personal, a little too much dialogue. There's going to be a big payoff at the end. That's what they do because that's what they do, and they do a good job of sticking the landing. For 4 hours for the last two episodes, there's going to be you're going to have to really stick the landing to this because there's they're all over the world right now. Like literally, they are all over the world. Right. Not just all over the map in terms of like just Hawkins. They're all over the world. And to get back to, we know that they're all going to come together at some point. And I really hope that they stick that landing. Like I want it to be almost like a Thor arriving in Wakanda moment.
Oh yeah, Elle's gonna have that. Hopper's gonna have to come in and like give that emotional beat. You know, same with Mike. Same
Yep.
kind of like thing there. Because I feel like they're very overtly setting up at least there at the end of episode 7. The only way she was able to beat him, the villain, which we're gonna dive full on into spoilers here very shortly.
Yep.
The only way she was able to beat the villain is the fact that she was loved.
Yeah.
And then he's gotten so much more powerful. He's gonna have her on the ropes. And then who comes in to help her, remind her of how loved she is and how much power that weighs or carries? It's Hopper. He's gonna show up because everyone thinks he's dead.
Yep.
And that's what's gonna carry the day, and she's gonna kick the villain's ass. But there's nothing wrong with that. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fucking great. Because that whole cast, they're fantastic.
Yep.
So, yeah, like the episode 4 for me was definitely the highlight. I mean, especially that final sequence inside the villain's mind, like just so cool,
Yeah.
so creepy, but cool.
The music, the
Yeah, like
setting,
the whole it all
the
working together.
pacing, I could feel my heartbeat moving, skipping, like jumping up because you're like, holy shit, you're really into the moment. You really
Yeah,
they pulled you into that moment in that scene, and it was like just very powerful, very powerful.
yeah.
So, yeah, man. Do you want to start talking a little? Do you want to jump into spoilers here? We can
Go
jump
for
into
it.
it. Okay. All right,
Hey,
guys, you've been warned. Here's the spoiler point of the show. Um, I really liked what they did by spreading out everyone. I am a little worried about what they're going to do because with this payoff going into the final season, I think one of the main characters is going to have to die. They're setting that up. I believe it's Steve. Unfortunately, I feel like they're really setting him up to die. Him and his friendship with Nancy rekindling that, Jonathan being away, all of that stuff said and done. I think someone is going to have to go. I don't think they're going to do it with Hopper because they teased his death. They've already teased his death. They can't do it with L because the payoff in the end for next season, whoever the big baddie, if it is the Mind Flayer, she's going to have to be the one with the power to face them, right? Um,
unless
but
she's not,
unless, well, that's the other thing is that what was her name? Was it number 8? Was her sister in season 2? Was that her
or
sister?
maybe there's just nobody on the board that can, and the
Yeah,
team, and they have to find a way to win.
that's also possible too. But here's the other big thing. I'm very happy with them to really jump into the Upside Down this year. We've always teased a little bit about the Upside Down and what it's about, but they really have gone in to show you like what the Upside Down is about. And then the final episode of this season, episode 7, the final scene was really breaking down everything. And I already knew that I already knew that Vecna was going to be someone we knew. I thought it might have been Brenner, that got sucked in from the first season and basically evolved to gain power there. But to find out that it was one who was also Creel's son, like that whole thing, like that whole dialogue, villain dialogue is it's kind of oversold, but I thought that was done very well because you're watching the reveal, not just one reveal, but two reveals simultaneously. And I thought that was great as
Because the
well.
more he
Soundtrack,
speaks, the more you understand, and the more he acts like he is
yep.
in the flashback.
Exactly, exactly. And then that piece you want to talk about. We talked about last episode about retconning here. I don't think it's really a retcon because I think in episode 8 it'll expound a little further what happens, and I think it'll clarify she did crack something open And in the trailer, we hear, "What did you do?" from Brenner to her. That's what he says because it automatically closes up so that he wants to get back in there. Brenner wants to get back into the Upside Down, and that was the intention, which kind of leads us to believe like it kind of changes season one a little bit, yeah, a little bit, but it doesn't. It's not a complete retcon in my opinion. But this cast is phenomenal, man. Everyone on this cast is just great acting. They know when to hit their marks. Funny moments, like the character development is great. But I think that someone is gonna like Billy had to die last season. Someone's gonna have to die. I know it would be silly for like Eddie, one of the secondary characters we meet this year, is the one to bite the dust. I think it's got to be someone big because I think going into next season, they have to have suffered a big loss, and that kind of kills their momentum, and they have to find their way to be able to fight the Mind Flayer in season 5. That's my thought.
I could see it 100%. Like, I'm of two minds. I think
Okay.
you're right that they did set up Steve mostly. I
Yeah.
think they're also setting up Steve. I don't know which one's the swerve. Is it that he dies or is it that he doesn't? You know, because like in that genre, you know, there's tropes. You know, and
Yeah.
which one is the swerve and which one is not. So they could also be clearly setting up because they have for a while now. Like Steve's the street smart, observant guy. I'm like, dude, I could actually see him like being a cop. You know,
Okay.
like the cop who lets like the shit that goes that doesn't matter. You know, like oh, kids drinking, who gives a fuck? You know, like that kind of thing. Versus like because he's the one who figures out, oh, Eddie's in the boat, and he just grabs an oar to try to
Yeah.
hit him first, and he's the street smart guy. I think I could see him taking that kind of role in the community because he doesn't have a path, you know. But I could also see it. He doesn't know his purpose, and his purpose is to save and sacrifice himself. Like
Yeah.
I could see that too. So I think if anyone is going to, I think you're right. The odds would say Steve, but I'm just at this point, who knows? Anybody, but I think Hopper's on the table.
Maybe you know what? Hopper comes back. Maybe it's Joyce.
Could see it.
Because she's always been willing to sacrifice, go in head first without a care for the safety of everyone around her, right? Maybe something happens in a battle where she's the one to go, and then season 5 is Will and the kids are with Hopper, and they're all back at Hop because obviously they're all going to be back at Hopkins next year, and
I
I
think
want
there's
to
going to
talk
be a
about
time jump. They're going to do senior year
and that makes sense
because
because
they're
these guys
older.
are all
They're
older.
older.
They're
They've
older.
aged.
Yeah, and let's jump, but I don't think it's going to be 11 because essentially you're going to say 11's not going to die. She has to be in season
You know,
5,
she's
right?
already lost her powers.
So what are we going to do? Suck her into the Upside Down and to a place that we can't get her, and then she's gone for 3 years or 4 years, and we fast forward jump to senior year of high school, 2 years, no 3 years, jump to senior year of high school. Doesn't and then all of a sudden she's back. It doesn't make sense. So I think whoever it is going to like really bite the bullet. Like they're going
I
to have to
agree.
just die. 11's not on the table. I don't think Hopper's on the table because he's just we already gone through his near death experience. It could be someone like Murray. Maybe Murray dies. I really think I would be shocked, but it could be one of the kids. Maybe it's Dustin. Maybe it's
That
Dustin
would
who's
that would fucking wreck me.
that would be a backbreaker for everyone, right? Because the heart and soul of their
Dude,
group of
imagine what that would do
mentors.
to Steve.
Yeah,
Holy fuck.
but we're like you said, we're gonna get a time jump, and I agree with that. It makes a lot of sense for season 5, but in order for them to jump forward, there has to be some loss there. For them to kind of have all lost their way, but then they have to come back together because of the end game.
I agree.
So,
I
yeah,
agree. That's a good point.
but it just makes sense for someone to have to bite the bullet. Maybe it is Joyce, but I think also fans might not like the fact that it's oh yeah we're gonna have to have a big death every season.
Exactly, and that could be like the swerve. Like the subversion is
Yeah.
to not do that. But I agree. The narratively it fits.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious because obviously it'll be a pretty quick resolution. It's only 2 episodes.
Well, and here's the other thing is that we do know that they're in the trailer. Eddie's on top of in the Upside Down on top of his trailer playing the guitar to lure those bats towards him. Right? There's no way he's gonna be able to survive that. Right? We know he's a goner. So, but his loss really isn't as impactful as having to be one of the core people.
Oh
if we're going
damn!
against-
It might
What do you
actually be
think?
Dustin because he would 100% kamikaze himself for Dustin.
For Dustin, right?
Oh yeah. Fuck.
Yeah.
That sucks.
And
Now you
then
got me thinking of that.
See, like I was trying to think which of the kids would it be that would die. It can't. It's not gonna be Will. It's not gonna be Eleven. It's not gonna be
If any of the
Mike,
kids, it'd be Lucas or Dustin.
Lucas, or Dustin. Max, I think they've fleshed out her story way too much for her to be the one to die. You know,
No,
like
because she needs to be the counterpart to Elle in the group.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She's the strong female of the two, right? Obviously, right? Not I'm not talking about with powers. I'm talking about personality wise. She's the stronger of the two. So maybe she does provide Elle her balance. We saw that last season with them becoming
Yeah.
friends. So maybe Lucas, but I think if I really had to think about it, it probably would be Dustin. Like you
Yeah,
said,
which
though,
sucks. That
I'm
really
gonna be
does. Because man,
I'm gonna be
he's
heartbroken.
awesome.
He's great. He's great. And then obviously they're bringing Susie, so she's there to witness it. Can you imagine just that whole thing?
Oh damn!
God. Oh.
Don't. Now you're putting more pieces on the table to make sense. That it's him.
It could
Yeah.
be Jonathan. It could be Jonathan, but we've really gotten very little of Jonathan the first 7 episodes with all that time. So I really don't think it's Jonathan.
No, I agree. I agree.
And Nancy is their tank of the group.
Yeah,
It's
which is
see well.
yeah.
She's the tank, and I don't think the tank is going to
That's my
go.
other
So,
favorite part of the first season is when Mike finds out she knows everything
yeah,
and that she's cool.
yeah,
Dope. That was a great 80s like moment. It's like, oh, little brother thinks, oh, big sister's actually pretty cool.
yep.
Dope.
It's good stuff, man. It could be Joyce though. Joyce could be the one to go because that
Yeah.
would be one
You know
that's
what?
as impactful. But
I'm gonna go mostly Steve, but that Dustin one. That makes more sense than you think on face
it's
value.
it's sensational. It's over the top.
It
It's
would be
hurtful.
shocking because nobody's
It's
seen it.
shocking.
But like you mentioned, some of the pieces they set it up. You
Yep.
know, like much like they have with Steve. It's just you're not thinking it because he's the younger kid. You
Yep.
don't think that about the younger kid,
Nope.
which means maybe they do it. Ah, that is just
Oh man.
that is heart wrenching.
Yeah, but that's my thought. My theory is that it's Dustin. That if I think someone's going to have to go if they're going to do a flash forward or a fast forward, which it feels like they have to for the final season for it to kind of make sense. They can't just immediately a few months later say, "Oh yeah, this is it." It makes sense. They're all older. Let's have them finishing up, to go on with their lives in their separate ways. Obviously, at the end of this season, I think Joyce is going to come back to be with Hopper, in Hawkins. So, um, and they're all going to collectively want to watch over Hawkins, but whoever it is that dies really creates a rift amongst the group. I think they tried it this year with the fact that everybody's getting older in high school, so everybody jumps into their own social cliques, which time changes things a little bit. I get that, but I think next year the loss of someone really just completely just keeps them separated, and then they're all forced to come back for season 5 to fight together.
Yeah.
So that's my thought, and I think that what that means is maybe Elle leaves completely. Like whatever happens at the end of the season, she leaves. Like with what's his name, the doctor, Paul
Owens.
Reiser's character, Owens. She leaves with Owens, or decides to go over there, leave, and focus on building her strength up or whatever. But I don't know, man. Like that's my thought. I kind of took up what you said the other day about the jump forward. I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense based off of ages and stuff. So, God, man, like I just there's just so much to unpack with this season. There really is, and like we have 2 episodes that are just going to be crazy. I'm sure.
hmm So for me, my big theory to discuss is why is the Mind Flayer absent?
Yeah.
2 seasons in a row is the big bad, more or less.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden it's Vecna. And the fact that he's been absent, or the character, or the entity has been absent, well, Vecna's been to the forefront, and these earthquakes going on in the, with everything, and it's the fact that the Upside Down's current state is tied to Vecna, not
Fair.
the Mind Flayer. Makes me think they're actually enemies.
That makes sense. A good theory, man.
Yeah, and that the earthquakes are maybe the Mind Flayer dying, or it hurt, because that is the underpinning of that universe, because it existed clearly before Vecna showed up, but it didn't exist in its current form until Vecna entered their domain.
Yep.
So, like, how does that play into season 5? Like, when Vecna is vanquished, because I'm sure he will be, does that mean that all the rules are rewritten for the Upside Down? What does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's going to be a fascinating point to discuss. Like, does the Mind Flayer factor into the last 2 episodes? Or is he just entirely absent until, like, a stinger for season 5? I don't know. That's
Well, we
because,
do.
like, the logistics and everything behind the Upside Down are pretty cool,
Yeah, they are.
and I like how well
Um,
they've laid that out with tying everything back into Vecna and, like, it's stuck in time.
the one thing we did learn was it was stuck in time from 1983, but it started when Creel was pushed into the Upside Down by one. I mean, by 11. When one was put when
Yeah,
one was sent off,
that's
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 when
when it basically carterized.
cauterized it, and everything is stuck there. So it's a good theory because the timeline sets up because like from season 1 to season 4, it's been 3 years, right? So Vecna Creel one, whatever you want to call him, has been in the Upside Down for 3 years, slowly trying to figure things out. So he really didn't learn like his power and what he was able to, in terms. But maybe he watched the Mind Flayer last
And
season, how
when
he was
they
able.
weakened him in season 3,
Yeah,
he could assume control.
yeah, exactly. So it makes sense, man. It makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. But what would that mean in season 5? Is the Mind Flayer powerful again? Like, did he gain his power back?
I would
Did by
assume.
by killing Vecna, they freed the Mind Flayer and gave him his power back. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
and freed the
obviously,
Upside Down.
yeah,
Maybe
obviously,
it's not even the Upside Down as the threat in season 5,
yeah.
you know? Maybe we get into this weird dimensional war where there's another dimension. Stranger shit's happened in that media.
Called Stranger Things for a reason, right?
That would be indeed
But
rather
there's
strange.
but the last season is going to be the end game,
Oh
so to
yeah,
speak. Like
yeah,
it's going to be whatever happens, whatever dimensions are at play here, this is going to be the final payoff. Like there will be some type of final battle. And it could be a collective of surviving numbered kids. Like 8 is alive, 11, one was alive, now he's correct now. But we do know that there, remember in season 2 she mentioned that there were a couple others that did escape as well. So or got out. So
yeah,
it's possible that season 5 is about creating a collective to help fight whatever the big bad is in the final season.
yeah.
So where are we at on the time, man?
We are at basically 20 minutes since we
Okay.
started the timer.
Okay.
Yeah, we're at about
Um
10 minutes left on the timer. Is there anything
okay.
else you want to discuss for season 4, part 1?
Favorite moment for you?
I mean, obviously, we both touched on it. The end of season 4, or episode
Yeah.
4.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Favorite character.
Max.
This Max.
Max, I think, gets the best, at least up through episode 4.
Okay.
Because Elle's kind of in the background
Right.
until 5, 6, 7, of course, which is when she goes with Owens.
Yeah.
Or like it's a season where a lot is happening all at the same time, but you can kind of tell what's in the foreground, what's in the background, and things shift and come into focus in different times and ebb and flow, which is a good narrative. It's
Yep.
a sign of a really well built world that you can do that within the same structure of like characters and setting. So it worked. You can just kind of tell like the first 4 episodes were like setting the stakes, and then 5 is like finding the Elle getting her powers back and all that, and then finding out who the villain is, and then boom, cliffhanger. Nancy's in a coma or whatever,
Yep.
and 2 more episodes to go. See you in 6 weeks. It's gonna be
Now,
great.
obviously, the idea of her being in the coma, which means that she's about to get killed by Vecna, that's where Eddie and the guitar riff on the top of the
That
trailer
I
could come into play.
100%, yeah, could see.
That could come into play. So maybe that's not necessarily fighting off the bats. Maybe that's him trying to be able to play something that in the upside down to help wake her up.
Oh yeah, she saw he was in her room,
Yep.
her real room, and like saw her posters and her music. So
Yep.
he would know like what she wants, like is listening to.
What she likes. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
I like where your head's at.
So that's how she gets saved.
That gets me
Possibly.
off the Justin's gonna die train. I'm happy.
Okay, that's fair. It's like I just I didn't want to be a bummer about Dustin, but like when I really think about it, Steve is the number one for me. It just makes but it's almost too obvious that they're building up for Steve. So it could be a swerve that they throw in there.
Yeah.
For me, I think my favorite character this season. I don't want to be cheesy and say Hopper, but he had a really big moment right before in season. I think it was in episode 6, or was it episode 7? It was episode 6, right before they fought the Demogorgon, where he's sitting down with that guard and talking with him and telling him his story,
Hmm.
about his time in the war. That's great because we've always kind of like wondered, how is Hopper such a badass? He's just this fat cop in Indiana. Like, what's his story? There has to be more to it. We find out, yeah, after high school, he went out to war and he did a lot of crazy shit. He killed people, and he learned a lot of things. And he was exposed to Agent Orange and a lot.
Which is
That's
just
where,
fucking so tragically real.
yeah, it is real. It is real. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie to you.
that is some
Um,
fucked up shit.
Yeah, like go do the research on it if you haven't yet. But in the early '90s, starting to hear stories as a teenager about what Agent Orange did to soldiers that were exposed to it. It's really sad, really really
Yeah,
sad. But I liked that. But I'm probably gonna say I really liked Eddie this year. I
dude,
really
Eddie
liked
was
Eddie.
a fun addition that I did not
Yeah.
expect.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna be the asshole because that's what they kind of lead you up to think at the very beginning. But as the episodes go on, they flesh him out a little more and more and more. And I like his personality really coming through and how he's really kind of understood and grasped things. Robin, I liked Robin's quirkiness this season and being a little intimidated by Nancy. I liked that. Um, yeah. I feel kind of bad for Will's story. I really think that we've really pushed him to the back burner, but we're also kind of circling around the whole sexuality thing again, and I know people online aren't very happy about that.
But to
I,
me, I
I
think
think
they're missing the forest for the trees there, which is like he's a kid. The character is
I
a kid.
in the '80s,
The character wouldn't fucking know.
no, exactly.
Like
He grew up in Indiana, in a little town in Indiana. He doesn't understand that stuff. He's
with a
trying to
mom that
figure.
freaks out about weed.
Yeah.
Like
So yeah,
maybe he wouldn't know how to verbalize it, how to express it, how to really come to terms with it at the age of 14.
there is going to be some type of a payoff because there's the
They've
painting
they've
that
been
is
doing too much setup to
yeah
not do something with it, and they
yeah
handled Robin in season 3 well enough. Like, come on, dude. Yeah, let's give the Duffer Brothers some credit here.
yeah
They're going somewhere. You
yeah
don't judge a painting until it's done.
yeah. I
Like,
agree. I
let it be
agree.
finished.
Yep.
Let it all come out. Don't
We
take an
got nearly
actor's comment out of context because the actor doesn't know the final picture.
nope.
And maybe the actor doesn't know the intent behind the thing.
Yep.
But maybe the director didn't tell him. Like, let it happen.
Yeah. We have 5 hours of storytelling left. There's plenty of resolution to
And that's
tie up.
just this season. There's a whole other season to go.
Yeah.
So maybe let's keep the queer baiting stuff, like, until it actually happens.
I agree.
You know? Like, when it actually happens, call it out.
Yep.
But these guys have done enough in their own show with representation to, I think, deserve a little bit of leeway. But also just narrative storytelling demands leeway. Because you don't get all the answers right away.
No,
That's
it
what a
can't all be
story
black.
is.
It can't be all black and white right up front because then it's not good storytelling. It's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I agree. I would probably say Hopper and Eddie are my favorite characters this season. Yeah.
Dude, Hopper's had some badass moments.
Yeah.
I also like Enzo.
Enzo is kind of funny.
Especially after the breakout and he gets captured and we come to know him as like he's
What
corrupt,
happened?
but he's like a good guy. Like
Yeah.
he's
Just,
not a
yeah.
Mother Russia guy. He's a I'm just trying to get by guy, which I like that kind of character.
Yeah.
And he's stuck, he's stuck by his friend in the end. So
What's the deal with Murray? Murray just went completely like batshit crazy this
well, Murray
season.
always was though.
Yeah, but I mean like goofy crazy, not just like investigative report
Well, he's out of
crazy.
his house. In the first 2 seasons, do we
Good
even see
point.
him outside of his house?
Yeah, it's season well, no, well, he wasn't in the first 2 seasons. He was in season 3.
Yeah, he was just in 3 when the military leaves.
Yep.
So but he was always just in his house basically. He was
No,
at
I'm
the
sorry.
fair once.
I'm sorry. In season 2, he's at the back end of season 2. You're
Yeah,
correct.
he is. I
Oh
thought
yeah,
so.
he's at the back end. Yeah,
Because they go to him in season 3.
yeah. But he doesn't leave. He drives the Hawkins to find out what happened to Barb. So he does show up there.
Yeah, but like
He's
he's not doing things.
no.
He's a character
Season
that
3
talks.
Season 3 is when he left his house and he started becoming nutty. But yeah, you're right. I just think like that they've kind of ramped it up. He's like
Well, he's a
the
conspiracy
comedic-
theorist nut. He should be weird.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
Sure.
an 80s show.
It's
You
an
got to
80s
have the
show.
weirdo.
Yeah.
Like the real weirdo.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's a good show,
And he got his
man. I
Russian
can't.
counterpart in Yuri. So
That was a great moment. That whole scene where he
and
impersonates
when he
Yuri.
takes
Fucking
when you see he shaved the beard,
beard. Fucking
fantastic.
hilarious. Hilarious. Um, great. Just a great season, man. The first part of it. I can't wait for July 1st, man. I really can't.
Yeah,
I'm
once I
so
got
excited.
started, boom, I finished it.
Yeah, you messaged me. You were like, "I'm getting started." You're like, "Holy crap,
It's
this is
good.
great."
Yeah, it's damn good.
Cool, man. Well, it's been fun to talk about it. I love Stranger Things. It's an IP that I'm a big fan of. Like we really like they nailed the period piece and they took it to the next level. I really like what the Duffer Brothers are doing, and I know Netflix and other companies are going to start throwing piles of cash at them to take over their IPs, man, because they really get it. They really like they just understand storytelling like Filoni does. They get it. And it's great, man, because this is a we're in a current generation of really great shows. Like there's just so many that are really really good.
Would you say it's the
Not just
golden age of nostalgia?
not just the golden age of nostalgia. It's the golden age of, I guess, shows.
I would
Not
say
just,
nerddom.
okay.
Star Trek's
This is a fair
back.
one.
Star Wars is hidden. D&D is a thing. Oh, I was
The
going to mention the
droids.
Satanic Panic. They nailed that.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah, perfect.
That shit
As a
was
kid that
real.
grew, as a kid that grew up in there, I will tell you every other
I
Friday on
grew up in the
2020.
90s version of the Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that was real.
No, every other Friday on 2020 was a Satanic Panic episode. And like, yeah, we could just do a whole episode one day about that, man. Just talk about that stuff because it was a crazy time. It was a very crazy time. And
Hmm.
there was one stand-up comedian that is said to be the that kickstarted the Satanic Panic of the 80s. And maybe one day we'll sit down and talk about it because it's just a stupid story with that guy and what he did. But yeah, yeah, you're right. The Satanic Panic stuff, the West Memphis 3 kind of, witch trial stuff, it's just like it's very spot on for the times. Very spot on. That whole subplot, that's going to have a payoff as well, and I'm interested to see where that
Oh, yeah,
goes.
because the basketball player is still around and
Yep.
all that with the vigilantes.
Yep.
Oh, you know L's going to show up and kick the shit in. Hell yeah. Or like they're going to start fucking around with the cops and then Hopper gets out of a car and everyone just like shits a brick. Like, oh, fuck.
Or they're coming to murder everybody and Demodogs jump out of the hole from the portal
Yeah, and
to
then
go after them.
yeah, and then they're all cornered and people getting ripped to shreds. And who comes in just fucking blasting with an M16? It's Hopper just putting them down.
Hopper.
And
Yeah.
then everyone is like, "Are you an angel?" No.
No,
Yeah,
I'm a cop. No,
yeah.
I'm a cop.
I'm the sheriff. And he just like takes his badge off off the old deputy and puts it back on his coat. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Well, this is
actually, we
great, man.
just about hit 30 minutes on the dot. We are at 19 seconds, just as I said that.
Cool.
So I think we're going to call it here for episode 43.
Yeah.
If you are listening to this over on any kind of podcast service or you're watching on YouTube, we do stream these episodes live at twitch.tv/MrWartburg. If you're on YouTube, the link is in the description. It's twitch.tv/MrWartburg. You may have just heard my alarm go off because we just hit the 30 minutes. So, episode 44, we're going to be back talking about The Boys Season 3. Plus, our thoughts on where Obi-Wan and all these shows have continued to go as things continue on. And then 45 coming down the pipe is Miss Marvel, the Obi-Wan finale. We got Umbrella Academy down the road in June. And of course, as we get into the high 40s, Thor Ragnarok. I got a fun episode about maybe doing another ranking episode about the Dragon Age characters,
Yes.
which is going to be fucking awesome. I need to DM two fantastic guests who, if they both say yes, going to be one of the best podcasts I've probably ever done in my life. I'm saying that preemptively. It's going to be a great show. Other stuff I had on the docket, like I said, I mentioned Bullet Train. I want to see She-Hulk's coming out. You see the new trailer for that? They actually like updated the trailer stealthily.
Yeah.
Some of the
Interesting.
scenes straight up look different. It's very weird. It's subtle, but weird. You can kind of tell like maybe they really weren't done with the face.
Possible.
Like they added freckles and some other things like that that just were not there. I'm like, man, maybe they just weren't done. Which would not be the craziest thing in the world for something to ship not done. Happens in video games all the time. So like it wouldn't be that weird. It's just weird they didn't say anything about it. because it's Disney. You would expect them to be like, ah, our bad. Here's the new one. They just updated it. So who knows? Maybe we will see a slightly different CGI version by the time it comes out in August. So, any closing thoughts on Stranger Things?
One of the best nostalgic IPs in a long time. I'm gonna be very sad when this wraps up next season, but I'm very happy with what the Duffer Brothers brought us, and you know how we are with nostalgia. 10 years down the road, they can do a revisiting Stranger Things mini series on Netflix. I don't know, but it'd be great. It's gonna be great to see how they finish this off.
Yep, I'm excited.
Oh.
So thanks everyone for watching. If you're watching live, thanks for hanging. I gotta go do some laundry, so I'm not gonna stick around and play some Apex. And if you're watching on any services, definitely drop that like, subscribe, and review. Let us know what you think of the show and help it grow. And we'll see you for episode 44. See ya.
Bye.